good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the histories and sort of brief geographies of 3 different regions of Azerbaijan. Now, if you're new to my channel, first of all, hello. Second of all, I am doing a series called ASMR Around the World, where I'm going to every state, district, territory, province, etc. of everywhere in the world, and I'm going in alphabetical order. So, Azerbaijan recently redistributed its land in 2021, and there are a lot of regions in Azerbaijan that start with AGH in particular. So, we're just going to hit them all in one video. So we are going to cover Aghdam right here, Aghjabadi right here, and Aghstafa, which is right in the crease of my book. It's right there. Now these are regions, and since the regions were redrawn, especially for Aghdam, which we're going to talk about in a minute, the lines aren't, well, they are set in stone, but there's like no good maps of them. So I would draw out the little areas that they have, but I just can't find a good map to base them off of. So we're mostly just going to be talking about the cities and kind of like the surrounding area of the cities. I'm actually going to go in reverse alphabetical order for these 3 because Aghdam has the most history. The other places are just kind of little places within Azerbaijan. So let's start over in Aghstafa. This is actually a pretty big region. It's kind of like this whole area here. As you can see, we are in Transcaucasia, which is kind of a cultural region between the Caucasus Mountains here. So this is in a big valley area, and it was actually a Silk Road town way back during Silk Road trade, when trade would be passed through to what's now like Iran, and throughout the Caucasus here, they would pass through what's now Aghstafa. It was a little town mainly populated by the Oghuz peoples, which is a Turkish people. It wasn't really built up until like around the 1800s, when industry was starting to come into Azerbaijan, but true city status didn't start in Aghstafa until 1914, and that was because of, you can see right here, this is the Baku-Tbilisi Railway, and they needed a stopover in this area for the trains. So Aghstafa got to be built up into a big train stop city, and now it's more of like a big pipeline city because the pipelines come through here between the mountains, because over here in Baku there's a lot of oil in the Caspian Sea, and it comes through various pipelines throughout Azerbaijan. The only real big piece of history that occurred in this area was in 1920. So if you know your history of the region, it was kind of a turbulent time. This area used to be part of Russia until the Russian Revolution in 1918, when the Bolsheviks took over, and the Caucasus region was left to fend for itself. Azerbaijan declared independence, but it wasn't long until the now Soviet Union came back to reclaim what once belonged to Russia. And there were many big protests that started over in Gancha, which is over here, and just spread throughout the region here. So there were some big protests there in the very early 1920s, but of course the Soviets squashed that, and it turned into an area of the Soviet Union. We might look at this on Google Earth. There's not much to show you, but I do know for a fact because I've crawled all through Aghjabadi over here. there's nothing to see on Google Earth here. We might take a look at it from above, but there's no good pictures here. And that's because Aghjabadi is a very tiny farming community where I really tried very hard to find interesting historical facts about Aghjabadi. But it's just a big farming community. It seems like it always has been, always will be. Oh, what I can show you though, near this is this really cool national park. You can kind of see here, there's some Nagorno-Karabakh ruins right there. But there's a big wetlands area called the Aghdam National Park. That's pretty neat. We'll take a look at that on Google Earth. The only kind of interesting thing I could find about Aghjabadi was that there are a lot of prehistoric sites in terms of like rock art and old sites where there's like digs and things for ancient archaeological things, but there isn't any of that on Google Earth to show you because like places like that are only really on Google Earth if they're tourist sites, and Azerbaijan doesn't really consider like this whole section of their country to be a tourist area. I'm sure the people here, if they saw tourists, they'd be kind of confused and concerned because all the tourist things in Azerbaijan happens over here in the Baku area, along the peninsula here. And that's it, not over here. These are just people living their everyday lives. So with that being said, let's talk about Aghdam because this is a really fascinating and tragic story of this place. You can see it's within this gray zone called Nagorno-Karabakh. We'll talk about why that is in a minute, but you can see the lower Caucasus Mountains coming through right here. So Aghdam is in this really beautiful flat valley area between the mountains here, and this really lovely valley. It was actually, if you've heard of Artsakh, which today is in like its own administrative region, Aghdam used to be part of that. Artsakh, it was an Armenian territory between the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE. And it's possible between that time and the 18th century when the city actually started to spring up, there were various Turkish people living in the region here. But in the 18th century, the city was founded and was officially made a city in 1828. It was the summer residence of the Khan of the Karabakh Khanate. So the city kind of grew around that. But once the Soviets had taken over, because like I've said before, the Soviets liked to zone things into specific areas, like we talked about before, in Aghdam, right? How that they were like, this is the cotton area, this is where cotton is grown. Over here, they were like, well, this is going to be kind of like a textile factory town. But the main things that they made other than textiles, the main textile being silk in the area. Sorry. My ASMR voice gets a little low sometimes. Silk. But also things like butter and wine and other alcohols were manufactured in the area. Everything very much changed once the Soviets no longer existed, and again these areas were left to fend for themselves. So Nagorno-Karabakh was a region that technically on paper belonged to Azerbaijan, but the majority of the population were Armenian. You can see Armenia right here. So it was like, well, now that we're independent and we're drawing lines for our countries, what should Nagorno-Karabakh be? Should it be part of Azerbaijan? Because technically, sort of, kind of it is. It just kind of always has been. Or should it belong to Armenia because it has a large Armenian population? And it turned into a conflict, especially by 1993, when it turned into an all-out war. The Armenian army was coming in with the idea of like they want to claim this land because it's all Armenians living here. Azerbaijan saying, well, we technically control this land. Aghdam actually had a larger Azeri population than Armenian. So the Armenian army came in and they completely destroyed the city. All of the Azeris living here fled. Actually, the entire population of the city fled out toward Azerbaijan to the towns and things over here. And the Armenians literally razed the city. It is almost non-existent. We'll look at it on Google Earth. There are very, very few buildings that remained once they pulled out, and it became a ghost town. And it was part of that buffer zone once a ceasefire was signed in the area, that it was kind of like Armenia controlled this side, Azerbaijan controlled that side, and Aghdam was right in the middle as a sort of no man's land. And it remained that way for quite a while until 2020. The conflict sparked back up again. And technically, I mean, it's still a ceasefire. It calmed back down. But in a nutshell, Azerbaijan really won out this time. They got to reclaim a lot of territory, including Aghdam, which is now officially part of Azerbaijan. And in 2021, wow, I just blanked on his name. Ilham, the president, Aliyev. Ilham Aliyev visited the area, surveyed it, and said, we're going to completely rebuild it. It's going to be a very modern, very green city. We're going to build lots of museums to commemorate what happened here, and it's going to be thriving again. So that is in the process of happening there. Sadly, I don't believe that the original people who lived there are going to move back, because the Armenian army deliberately destroyed any Azeri homes so that they couldn't come back. So everything needs to be completely rebuilt. And I'm sure that the previous residents there will get priority to get to live back in the area they had once lived in. So that is the history of these regions. Let me grab my Google Earth and we'll check it out. Let's see. So I have Aghdam pulled up here. And again, once you enter in just like the name of these regions, the regions don't pop up, just the towns. So another reason why I can't really draw on my atlas here. But let me zoom out first so you can see exactly where we are in the world if you don't know where the Caucasus is. So here you can see Europe, there's Turkey, there's Russia, the rest of Asia, and this area right here is the Caucasus. You can see the Caucasus Mountains here. So this region is technically on paper Asia. The people here are kind of more of a European mindset. So it's I've some people from the Caucasus region, mainly Georgia, have commented on videos and said, we are Eurasia. And I like that answer. It's sort of a, like, are you European? Are you Asian? Yes. Like that. So Aghdam, as you can see, is a ghost town. This is the only building that really truly remains, the old mosque. This apparently used to be a bread museum, which sounds amazing. I love bread. But a very Soviet art style you can see there. It's amazing that the pigmentation is still so bright. Aghdam there, big city gates there. And yes, this is a big ghost town. Let me zoom in closer so you can see from above just how devastated this is. There is nothing here, right? Just shells of what used to be a big city. It is gone now. Maybe it will be completely rebuilt someday. We have yet to see. See, there's the mosque there. That's the bread museum. And that's pretty much it. Old stadium. And you can even see the areas around it. where farmland that is, good healthy farmland is not that color, right? It's, just a big buffer zone. And then when I really zoom out, you can actually see the line of where Azerbaijan begins, just because you can tell that these farms are being planted on and thriving and all of that. These are not. One of the very devastating things that happen because of war. Over here, real quick, we can see Aghjabadi, big city there. And again, I combed through here trying to find you some cool things to look at. But as you can see from the surroundings, it's a big farming area, right? Let's see if the slide shows anything. There's a big cool sign there for Aghjabadi. And that's it. Yeah, that's the only picture. So yeah, I really tried hard to show you some things, but there is nothing except for this really cool national park over here. And you can see just how marshy and wet it is, right? Let's take a look at the pictures. Aghdam National Park. Lots and lots of like wetland birds, right? Water birds. Oh, majestic picture there on the horse. There's a big lookout station. You can see the area. A photo shoot there with the poppies. It's really pretty. On the rowboats. Looks like they're bird watchers. Very fancy cameras there. Ooh, epic horse glamour shot. This kid looks really excited to be there. Oh dear. Beautiful birds. Yeah. Oh, he looks a little happier there. Looks like this family was doing a cool photo shoot out here. Pretty neat place to explore. That's pretty awesome. So that's that area. You can really see all the farmland here, right? Pretty epic. So let's head up to the north. Let me close that. And let's find Aghstafa, which is right here. Aghstafa. And it's just kind of a very beautiful, modern looking kind of city. Oh, that's something I can show you that I found. Let's see if I can find it. Yep. It's of course, the Haydar Aliyev Park, which I think every city in Azerbaijan has an Haydar Aliyev Park. Kind of things that like men with dictatorial power do is just name everything after themselves. So something, I think that's him right there. Yep, Haydar Aliyev. Something, fun. That I've found in a lot of Caucasus cities in Georgia, over in Batumi, and now here I have found these parks which have famous places. These all look like Azeri places or like old style Armenian buildings in miniature, and you can walk around and see all the famous buildings in miniature. That's pretty neat. You got a little tree there. And yeah, I've never seen anything really like this before. I only really see it in European places, or like I said, in kind of like Caucasus places. But it's a neat little concept. I like it. Oh, that's neat. Lots of things for kids to do at the park. Oh, cute. But yeah, I think that's a really cool thing that they have. That's something that should come to America. I think that would be fun to have in parks. They have something kind of like that in Disneyland, but that's about it. But yeah, that was the only interesting thing I really found in Aghstafa to show you. Otherwise, it's just kind of a typical little city, you know. Lots of big yard space in between the homes there. That's pretty neat. Big old backyards. And yeah, it was just built as a stopover town. Now I guess for like oil workers and things. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have to show you here. So let me zoom out here so we can wrap up the video. Azerbaijan is such an interesting history. I'll have a video for you tomorrow more about Azerbaijan's history, so if you want to know more, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. And next in my series, we're going to be heading over to Russia up here, but not this area, a different area of Russia. Nothing around this area. So I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a very good